Anything to keep her name somewhere going on some sort of Google algorithm somewhere.
Yeah. You
I
never
know
know.
I know we don't have much reach, but this case deserves as many people talking about it as possible. Welcome to Waywut, your weekly verbal double take. This is a rabbit hole podcast where a couple of old guys do moderate to shallow dives into various topics, ranging from true crime, paranormal, sports, pop culture, or anything else that we find interesting. We drop episodes every Tuesday, and then on Fridays if we feel like it. You can follow us on Facebook, X, TikTok, and Instagram. We appreciate you joining us. Now that we got all this self-promotion stuff out of the way, here we go. Hello, and here we are once again for another episode of Waywut. My name is Darrell, and I will be the head host in charge, I guess, for this episode. And here I am with the guy that, if I vanished, he would still be looking for me after 20 years. Jason.
Damn right. I would never let you go.
Wish I knew how to quit you.
I'm trying to set a tone with that introduction because this is not going to be a very jokey episode. I'm not going to say there will be no jokes because I'm a broken person that can't help myself. But heads up, this is one of the heavier episodes that I'll be doing.
Well, maybe I should break the ice with a joke then.
I think you might regret that.
Oh, dear God.
I have a PSA.
Please do.
Rats have evolved, Darrell.
Okay.
I have a neighbor whose backyard is it's a jungle. They, for whatever reason, they cut off their back gate where they can't get into their backyard at all with a lawnmower or anything. The only way they could get in their backyard is through their house. It is a jungle. One of the trees that's now in the corner of the yard, it's not a tree. It's a weed that grew into a tree.
I can believe that because I pulled one not that long ago. You know, most of the time, even when you pull the tall ones, they're hollow. But I pulled this one up and it was like firm, like wood. And I was like, did I just pull up a sapling?
Yeah. Now, this tree is giant. And when we were outside last night, there is a family of rats that were climbing up and down this tree, going back into our backyard, freaking out our dog, freaking out Bernie, running along the fence lines, and they were jumping from tree limb to tree limb.
That's not an evolution. Rats can jump and climb. I mean, you've seen people with like their pet rats. They have like little jungle gyms for them just so they can do that.
It's one thing to watch them climb a tree and climb across the fence, but seeing them jump from limb to limb was super, super unnerving. Where I went inside.
Here's kitty, 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 kitty.
I can't believe that. I mean, I lived in that neighborhood and I had that HOA all over my ass so many times. I can't believe that it's gotten that bad.
Their front yard is fine. I mean, there's not any grass. You know, they mow when it gets long, but their backyard.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure if nobody wants to be that dude that like calls the HOA on somebody. But I mean, if you have a weed that is no longer a weed, it is a tree, then, that's a problem.
Yeah. It's causing wildlife to come into our yards. This is, like I said, now we have rats again from their yard. Possums are coming over, which are fine. I don't have a problem with possums, but it's still kind of unsettling watching one crawl across your fence, freaking out your dog again. And our backyard's great. It's, nicely trimmed and manicured and flowers and everything. It looks great back there. And then we got that shithole next to us.
They need to be careful. They're starting to spot black bears in East Texas. So they're gradually making their way west. So maybe they'll end up making a bear den.
That's one of the things we regretted was not seeing bear in Tennessee.
Only place I've ever seen bears is Yellowstone. I went to Yellowstone and, bears out in the wild. Like I went to Arizona, which was awesome, which was like a drive-through bear zoo. But cool. When we were at Yellowstone, I mean, we saw bears with bear cubs and all sorts of stuff. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, now
I'm ready.
I need to get back to my somber mood. because this is not, like I said, not a happy episode.
Why are you being a party pooper?
I'm going to start this off with a criminal rights rant. The Bill of Rights is very important. It's where we are afforded the rights of facing our accuser, illegal search and seizures, due process, as well as a fair and speedy trial. These are the rights of the accused because they are innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
With
Not the
that
other way
being
around.
said, it's the right way, innocent until proven guilty.
Mhm.
And with that being said, none of those are the right to not get caught.
Please. I'll never tell anyone, I swear.
One of my favorite true crime podcasts is called DNA ID. The whole show is about investigative genetic genealogy. Police get DNA from a piece of evidence from a crime scene. They send it to a lab. They'll upload the profile to GEDmatch, and then they will find people out there that have done those like Ancestry.com and stuff like that, that have elected, that they opted into having their DNA searchable by police and law enforcement. And then they're able to find people that are distantly related to a perpetrator. From there, they
fine
start
print.
Well, no, it's not a fine print thing. You have to sit there and say, there's a checkbox. You have to be like, you can make my DNA searchable from law enforcement. It's not automatic. You have to choose it.
Oh, okay. But you don't have to choose it to be signed up for
No.
this website? Okay.
Anyway, so from there, they'll build a family tree, and police will locate, the genealogist will locate potential family members, and then the police will approach them and ask them to add their DNA to that database. You know, they don't have to. Believe me, plenty of people say no. But they do that just so that they can zero in on the criminal. You would tell them no, or you would.
I wouldn't want it searchable. I wouldn't want to be caught in that situation.
It depends on what they're investigating. For me, you know, if they find some old bones and they're trying to figure out who this person was, yes. If it's some guy that if there's a bunch of dead kids and they found some DNA on one, and it turns out I'm somehow related to them, yeah, I'm giving up the DNA. I will. Now, once they isolate a match, they use it as a lead. They don't sit there and say, okay, here's our suspect, let's go arrest him. They use it as a lead, and then they investigate that individual. They'll probably, if they can't get a direct DNA from him, they will like do one of those surreptitious pulls where they'll like dig through his trash can or follow him to a restaurant and like snag his cup.
Yep.
They'll research, make sure that the timelines for the person syncs up. So, I mean, if it's a murder in Texas in 1963, if he was living in Alaska in 1963, that's going to be a problem. So they start investigating that. They'll build a case and eventually make an arrest. And I fucking love it. It is a brilliant use of technology. However, you have organizations and states that are attempting to obstruct or eliminate this as a way of finding a suspect. For instance, don't get murdered in Montana or Maryland. And good luck with that, because it's pretty hard to not get murdered in Maryland.
I was about to say, there's a lot of murdering going on in Maryland.
Yeah. Both states have laws that require search warrants to check this publicly available genetic information that people have to specifically volunteer to make searchable by law enforcement. So it's public. They've already opted in, and they're like, "Yeah, no, you gotta put this in front of a judge that can up and say no." They're putting roadblocks in. It's basically defense attorneys that are putting that kind of crap out there, and it's not the only states that they're fighting in. I mean, I get that you don't want people just be able to, you don't want somebody to be able to just go up to you, stick a needle in you, and say, "Ha, I got your DNA," but there's no right being infringed with this.
Right.
I mean,
Like you
I've
said, you all voluntarily put yourself out there on this website and chose to have your stuff searched.
Now, I've said it before, laws are there to protect citizens and their property. The only person that law protects is criminals. If you have DNA that is on or inside a murder victim, then that person is very likely the perpetrator. But at the very minimum, they are an essential person to talk to for that investigation.
Yeah, they know something. They were there.
They left their genetic information. They discarded it. It's evidence. The same reason you don't need if you shoot somebody with your gun and you leave the gun at the scene, it ain't like the police are, oh no, we can't touch that because it's registered to this guy and it's his. No, it is discarded. It's left at the scene. Same with the DNA. And they have no rights or ownership of the DNA of their family. It's not within your rights for your family. You'd be like, you can't look at their DNA. It's my family's. You don't. It's not yours. You have no right over it.
So have people argue that you can't use your own DNA because you didn't give consent or whatever?
There are different states when it comes to those surreptitious pulls that vary, and I can see where there is a little bit on that. But anytime you throw something away, you discarded it, and most higher courts see it that way too. Because some people be like, "Hey, that's you can't just take my trash and check it for DNA. You discarded it. It's evidence." That's it.
There's a reason why they go through the trash cans all the time.
But I mean, I at least get some of the debate behind that. I mean, because it can be a little, especially if they're going out to your trash can on your property and grabbing it. I can see that. Now, if you throw away a cup at McDonald's, that was out in public. But I mean, it's more debatable than people trying to say you can't search my family's DNA.
Wow.
All right, now I will always agree that searching a person's property or body requires a search warrant if there is no immediate probable cause. That is always important. If you hear somebody getting, somebody screaming, "I'm dying," that's probable cause. So-and-so is killing me. Probable cause. I agree that anyone on trial has the right to face their accuser. I do not agree with people wanting to take away a tool from law enforcement just because it makes it too hard for defense attorneys to get the guilty people off the hook. And that is the only reason that
keep those numbers up. Debate. Hard to get clients if you don't have a very good free rate or getting them off rate.
Acquittal rate?
Acquittal rate, that's the word.
Marijuana is not a drug.
Now, I'm all for them expanding the use of investigative genetic genealogy. I wish they could have traced for any DNA on the rock that was thrown through my minivan window when I was in high school. Now, I'm pretty sure it would have led to my ex-girlfriend or her crazy-ass brothers, but maybe not. However, if they could have used it, I would know for sure. Like, it was that crazy bitch. Now, they'll never really do that but for crimes this small because it's a very expensive process. I mean, that's why there's lots of cold cases where like people try to raise money to get the funding to get the, because they usually have to do these really complex DNA pulls because a lot of the ones are doing this. I mean, I've seen them do it for like 60, 70-year-old cases.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I'm grateful that I haven't had any legitimate need for this in my life, where it's like, oh my gosh, we got to find someone. So kind of grateful there. The technology is amazing and they have, I already said that part. But nothing makes me happier than a cold case getting solved. But the inverse to that is true as well. I hate the old cases that feel like they are never going to get solved. And I'm grateful that I don't have to live with something like that in my family.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. However, there is one case in particular that always sticks with me. And anytime I drive to Shreveport on I-20, I can't help but think about it. And that's what we will be talking about today. The disappearance of Brandi Wells.
Okay, let's hear it.
Told you, this one's a bummer. In 2006, Brandi Wells was a 23-year-old woman living in Brownsboro, Texas. She had moved there recently because it was close to her hometown, Tyler, Texas. At 23 years old, she had already gotten married, gotten divorced, and she was ready to start progressing on to that next stage in her life. And we all know the feeling because even in our 20s, we're all still trying to grow up.
Yeah.
And some of us are trying to still do that in our 40s.
Almost there, Darrell.
All right. Well, she got the new place in Brownsboro. Then she got a job at Walmart. She got a previous scholarship that she earned reinstated. And she was ready to restart her education at Trinity Valley Community College. Also that, eventually someday she wanted to be a teacher. On August 2nd, 2006, she surprised her mother, Ellen, with a visit at her home in Tyler, Texas. Brandi said that she just wanted to see her mom and her sister, and she hung out with her sister most of the time while she was there. After a while, she asked her sister, Georgia, if she'd like to go out with her that night. Georgia said no. Well, Brandi changed into a tube top, rust-colored pants, and a black pair of sandals. When she said she was going out with her friends, her mom assumed that she was going to go to some bar or club in Tyler, and that she was just going to hang out with some of her local friends. Later, she found out that was not the case. Before she left, Brandi asked her mom for some gas money, but Ellen didn't have any cash to spare, so she just had to say, all right, well, too bad. But around 8 p.m., Brandi left her mom's house, and it was the last time that her family ever saw her. From there, she goes to a bar called the 11th Frame that was at a bowling alley in Tyler. The bartender there was a family friend, and she says that Brandi hung out at the bar until sometime between 8:30 and 9:30. Brandi got a drink on her mom's tab because, remember, she didn't have too much gas, and she chatted with the bartender. It's during this conversation that Brandi says that she was not going anywhere in Tyler, but to a club called Graham Central Station in Longview, Texas. The bartender says that, hey, I don't know if that's such a good idea, but Brandi said, hey, I could take care of myself. The bartender's concern, though, was that the club was in Longview, which is a 45-minute drive away from Tyler. Now, this leads me to a couple things that I would like to point out since most of our listeners and viewers aren't here in Texas. First, when you live out in the sticks, and if anyone from Tyler ever hears this and they try to claim that Tyler isn't rural, shut up. You're in the fucking sticks. Tyler's the sticks.
It's a great city. East Texas is great, but it's still the sticks.
Yeah, it's the sticks. Driving 45 minutes to go hang out somewhere is not unheard of whenever you live out in some place like that. Whenever I live near... Yeah, I was going to say, I live near Jason, because that's where he lives now. It was not unheard of for me to have an hour-long drive home from some of the bars north of Dallas. And it sucks, because when you're buzzed and you're driving that long all by yourself, it is a sucky drive.
Yeah.
Now, I know I was a dumbass. I don't need anybody telling me that. And I count myself fortunate to be a very lucky dumbass. I mean, now, though, we have Uber, although I wouldn't have done it back then either because that was like a $60 Uber ride. But now I live closer to those cooler places, and then it doesn't even matter because I rarely ever drink now. So nobody pester me about that bullshit.
Long time ago.
Yeah. Now, still, my point is, her driving that far to hang out somewhere is not as crazy as some people treat it. Whenever you listen to other true crime podcasts that go over this case, or watch YouTube videos that go over it. They're all like, "Oh, 45." No, you live out in the sticks. You're willing to hustle a bit to go somewhere.
Yeah, not everything's within walking distance or a taxi ride like it is in some of the bigger cities.
Yeah, any of you people living out in tiny little states, you'll only ever understand that if you come down here and you see how spread out things are. It's like people are like, oh, there's not a good mass transit thing in Texas. Well, no, because everything's like fucking 30, 40 miles away.
Yeah.
We got a lot of room. We're spread out.
There's a reason we have 5-lane highways.
Mm-hmm. Now, second, anyone, man or woman, that says, don't worry, I can take care of myself, you don't always know that. I used to walk around the Philippines whenever I would go to Philippines for work all by myself, and I mocked any of my coworkers that expressed worry about me doing that. I mean, shit, I was taller than pretty much everyone there, and I'm not even tall. Now, that being said, if 3 or 4 guys with enough attitude and weapons came up on me, they would have no problem showing me how little I could really handle myself. Now, fortunately,
taking at least 3 of them out.
Well, I would like to think I'd bring one down with me, but you know, come on, be serious. I mean, if they're coming at me with machetes and guns, I'm fucked. Fortunately, nothing like that ever happened. But that's the thing. Anytime you venture out on your own by yourself, you run the risk of confronting problems alone, you know, whether you're in Texas, Philippines, Cozumel, or the nicest neighborhood, because you're there by yourself having to deal with that problem. I only say this because if you ever find yourself blowing off people's concerns about you going off on your own, that concern from them is justified, and understand and accept the fact that you are being careless. It may not be right, it may not be fair, but it's true. And I'm not doing this to victim blame her. I'm doing this as more of a PSA for people in the future, because my daughter is the absolute worst about, oh, I can take care of myself. And it's like,
yeah, that's never happened to me. Well, no shit. It only takes one time for it to happen.
Yeah. It's just, it's infuriating. It's like, oh.
The main thing I learned was that teenage girls are complicated.
It's only worse now that she's 18.
Oh my God, Darrell. I'm glad we have daughters that are the same age, because holy shit.
All right. Well, Brandi arrived at Graham Central Station by herself around 10:30 p.m. She had kind of an eventful drive. She had to stop and call someone from a payphone twice for directions. Either way, her arrival at the club is seen on their surveillance cameras, as well as her ID was recorded when she got there. This was one of those bars that swipe your ID before you go in. I don't know if that's a Texas, if that's mainly a Texas thing, or I think that happened to me in Colorado once too.
I thought it was for drinking.
I don't know. I don't know what it's for. I'm just like, here, take my information. Need beer.
No, remember that stupid thing we had at Trail Dust, the Unicard?
Unicard. That was specific to Mesquite.
Dallas County?
No, not even Dallas County. It was specific to Mesquite. All right. Anyway, not too much is known about what happened while she was at the club, but it was claimed by different people at the club that Brandi asked various strangers for gas money while she was there. Other than that, people said she either just had one drink or possibly no drinks. One man claimed that he offered to buy her a drink, but she declined. However, she then said, hey, I'm low on gas. Do you have any gas money? I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, she's a 23-year-old girl, and it sucks because she made, obviously, it's one of those stubborn things, and I could see my daughters doing it. That's what pisses me off about it. And it's one of the reasons why this one gets under my skin so much, is it's like, you don't even have gas to get where you want to go. And you're going there by yourself. But yeah, because I want to. You know, it's like, ah! Anyway.
The desire is more than anything the desire is strong. They don't care about how they get there or what they have to do to get there. They just know they want to go.
Yeah, no, I really feel for her mom on this because I imagine there's a reason I'm pretty sure she didn't tell her mom where she planned on going. She's last seen on surveillance cameras leaving Graham Central Station alone at 12:30 a.m. The following morning, around 9:15 a.m., Brandi's 2000 four-door Pontiac Grand Prix was found on the side of on the westbound side of I-20, about 300 yards west of FM 2087, and it was found by a Texas Department of Public Safety state trooper. So one of our guys that wear cowboy hats. There were no signs of a struggle, but the driver's side door was ajar. He ran the plates. He saw that there were no reports of it being stolen. So he tagged the car as abandoned and went on his way. So he put one of those little orange stickers on.
Orange stickers.
Mm-hmm. That's basically saying, hey, y'all can tow this shit.
Come tow me. Yeah.
Yeah. There's more to his arrival than that, and most of it's just about how carelessly that car was being handled and treated since it wasn't classified as a crime scene. That I'm not going to make those presumptions on it, but if you go check out the podcast Trace Evidence, episode 50 is about this crime, and he goes over all the tiny details and what was lost because of the mishandling of her car. I'm not. He orders police reports and does all the things and calls people and asks questions. I'm not calling anybody. It's not happening. So, I mean, this is a shallow dive channel. If you want like the whole shebang, like bit by bit,
the whole 9 inches.
Trace Evidence, episode 50.
I do have a question. Do they normally treat cars that are abandoned? They can't treat every car that's abandoned as a crime scene, can they?
No, they can't. But the door being ajar and some of the things that I will be discussing later will make you be like, all right, something's not right here, and you might want to handle it more cautiously.
Okay.
I mean, that's part of law enforcement is you have to have some critical thinking skills, not just be some janitor for the highway saying, here's some trash, somebody come pick it up.
Okay.
All right. Now back with Brandi's mom, Ellen. She assumed that Brandi was probably sleeping off her party with some of her friends. But later that day, she got a call from Brandi's roommate saying that as far as she knew, Brandi planned on being home at her new place in Brownsboro, and she still hadn't showed up. Ellen then made an attempt to call Brandi, and she didn't get a response. But she was still figuring and kind of hoping that she would be all right. The next day, Brandi's voicemail box was completely full. This puts her friends, family, all on high alert, and they called the police to file a police report. After learning that Brandi intended on going to Longview, they began to drive towards Graham Central Station, looking just on the sides of the highway, looking for her, looking for her car. They don't find anything because her car already got towed because it got flagged as abandoned. 4 days into her disappearance, the Tyler Police Department tell Ellen that she has to file her missing persons report with the Longview Police Department. So 4 days now. So they're saying, hey, she's probably out that direction. According to the family, whenever they called Longview PD, they didn't seem that concerned about it, even though there hadn't been any contact for 4 damn days. On the 6th day of Brandi's disappearance, her abandoned car is finally linked to her. So she's been gone for 6 days. It didn't immediately flag to the missing persons report because the car was in her mom's name. So when they ran the plates, it came up with Ellen's name, but Brandi was the one driving it, and that's what kind of screwed it all up. And it took them a couple extra days to finally kind of be like, oh shit. All right, well, now the cops are like, uh-oh, we better look into this. So they have dogs go out and check the scene where the car had been abandoned. And the police start pouring over the car, looking for evidence. Which I want to remind you, had been getting treated like an abandoned car, not a crime scene. The dogs end up finding nothing because whenever they towed the car out of there, it fucked everything up, tore everything up. And as the car was picked up, by the tow truck driver and impounded, it'd been touched all willy-nilly by everybody. So they couldn't pull any fingerprints, DNA, anything like that from it because it had just been an abandoned car to them. In the car, they find her purse, which still contained her wallet and ID, a napkin with a man's name and phone number written on it, a cell phone, and finally, in the trunk, they find an empty gas can.
4 red flags.
Well, the empty gas can's not as much a red flag. But if you go up to a car that appears to be abandoned and you see a purse, I mean, right then, like, I'm not a cop, but I'll be like, uh-oh. Because
right.
not even that thinking that, hey, something might have happened to somebody, but also sitting there saying, hey, somebody might steal this.
Mm-hmm.
And then say you get a little proactive and you carefully grab that person. You open up and you see a wallet and ID in there. And there's flag number 2. You're like, uh-oh. And then you see a cell phone and you see that there's a young girl left her ID, purse, and cell phone. All the red flags go off right then.
Mm-hmm.
That somebody is not where they're supposed to be. So, yeah. That's some of the stuff that Stephen Pacheco goes off on trace evidence.
Yeah, those would be pretty, like you said, instinctive things that the cop should have picked up on when he first saw the car.
Yeah. Well, as far as her family knew, she didn't own a gas can, so that seemed really weird to them. They're like, okay, I'm not sure if that's hers. But then again, I don't know if my sister has a gas can or not.
Yeah,
and
if
I know my wife.
Would you know? Would you be able to pick it out?
I know my wife and my kid probably don't, although they should, because both of them will drive a car until it's like gasping for breath. The far more concerning thing that was found was that the driver's seat was pushed all the way back. Brandi was 4 foot 11 inches tall. Yeah, so this led to the very, very likely possibility that a significantly larger individual was in that driver's seat. Sadly, we do not know if the car ran out of gas, saying that, maybe she ran out of gas and she pulled off the road, or if it was driven there, because the police never checked the fuel levels before they added gas to the car to move it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is truly unbelievable.
So, yeah. Well, also with their investigation, Longview sent some officers to Graham Central Station. Fortunately, the footage from the surveillance camera was still available, because remember, this is 6 days gone now. Thank God this place kept it.
That is shocking.
Yeah, they probably don't keep 24 hours worth.
Right. So they compared the footage to the time that her driver's license was swiped, and they found a woman entering the club with 2 men. Unfortunately, it took them 6 weeks to figure out that woman was not Brandi.
Oh my God.
The timestamps on the driver's license reader and the footage was not synced, and they were about 10 minutes off from each other. So at this point, we got 5 days where the police didn't look for her at all. And then 6 weeks where they were showing footage all over the news of some other woman trying to find Brandi.
You have one job.
And by the time they figured out that they screwed up and found the actual footage, then they're like, holy shit, she entered all by herself. So looking for this, poor girl that was probably hanging out with 2 regular dudes, It was just a wild goose chase there for a bit. They did question people that were there that night, and that's where they got the stories that I mentioned earlier about her asking for gas money. They called the guy on the napkin, and he gave them the story that I told you earlier about offering to buy her a drink and her asking for gas money. So that was the guy that did that. Once they had the footage sorted out, they looked at the video of her leaving. On the footage, you see her leaving alone, but you also see a man wearing a cowboy hat nearby as she leaves. The police stand by the assumption that she left alone, but her family, they really think that cowboy hat guy could have been leaving with her or just following her. But there's really nothing. I think it's just them really, really hoping to
speculation.
Yeah. Because I've watched that video and it doesn't look like they have anything to do with each other. All right. Well, now we get to another point that irritates people with the Longview police. They assume the cell phone car in the car was hers. It was not. They made that assumption.
You're making a lot of assumptions here.
Well, they spent 2 weeks calling contacts on that phone asking about Brandi, only to eventually learn that it was her ex-husband's phone. He had asked her to hold on to it while he was deployed overseas because he was a service member. And then, so 5 days, in which I don't even understand why, even if you have possession of the phone and call the contacts, I don't know why they didn't do this anyways. So after 5 days, that's whenever they decided to finally pull her phone records.
It's really one of the first things you do.
I mean, keep in mind, this was 2006, so the whole pinging thing, I guess, was a little new to, in Andes, Texas. So,
yeah, probably one cell tower.
Yeah. All right. Well, once they pulled the phone records, there they found something strange. There hadn't been any outgoing calls on that phone until August 11th, 9 days after she disappeared. Like I said,
Weird.
Don't know why they didn't pull it sooner, but whatever. They eventually find this guy that has her cell phone, and he claimed to have been given the phone by someone else. The guy with the phone was given a polygraph, and he passed. That it was all true that somebody gave him the phone, and that was about it. The guy that actually found the phone claimed that he found it on the ground in a bad neighborhood about 4 blocks away from where her car was found. There are a bunch of claims regarding this guy saying that he refused to take a polygraph, and there's some claims that he failed a polygraph, and then there's others saying that it was a polygraph with undetermined results. I'm not a fan of polygraphs, and I would never do one myself, so I don't think any of that really means anything.
Yeah, those aren't even admissible in court.
Yeah. Either way, the Longview Police Department claims that they don't think that the guy that found her phone had any involvement in her disappearance. So the only lead, they're saying it led to nothing. And sadly, this is where all the available facts end. Since then, there have been various attempts to check if these bodies that they'll find every now and then, if they're Brandi's, none of them have been hers. There's a Facebook group called Brandi Wells is Still Missing, and there people post pictures of other people they think could be her in case she was trafficked or she ran away. Although running away doesn't really make much sense considering she was in kind of an upswing in her life where she was making plans for the future and taking actual steps.
Mm-hmm.
People also post on there when bodies are discovered, so they can the probably Ellen and them could press police to compare the body to Brandi's dental records or DNA or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The way this case was poorly handled by the police and how it just stops makes this case stand out to me. When I drive on 20 and we go through Longview on our way to Louisiana, I can't help but think about this poor girl. I'm fairly certain that last time you and I went to Shreveport together that I brought it up to you then.
Probably.
I think I did. Might have been might have been. I don't know. I know I brought it up to someone before. I think it might have been Denise. I don't know. Either way, it's always something that's kind of on my mind while we go through there because, this poor girl just up and disappears without any kind of trace. And every time I think of it again, I'll look it up to see if there's been any updates. And then I walk away feeling disappointed because there's been nothing. The only news articles that really come out about it is saying, it's been 16 years since the disappearance of Brandi Wells, and Ellen is still looking for answers. And then it'll be 19 years since the disappearance. It's always updates along those lines that her mom's still waiting for answers.
Yeah, with the murder or whatever happened in this out there in East Texas in the sticks, there's not all the Ring doorbell cameras or all the other cameras that people have on their houses or at businesses.
And it was 2006, dude. It was way before all that.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, I mean, our phones weren't even really smart yet.
Yeah, they still had the snake game on them.
Yeah. Now, we haven't had too many listeners in East Texas. But if you are from there and you hear this and you know something, stop being a world-class cunt and say something. If you're protecting someone that hurt her, that person isn't worth protecting. Tell the cops and let justice run its course. And if you don't, I hope you burn with whatever fucker did this, because you deserve it.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for this depressing, but I'd say essential episode. Anything to keep her name somewhere going on some sort of Google algorithm somewhere.
Yeah. You never know.
I know we don't have much reach, but this case deserves as many people talking about it as possible. I mean, I'm partial because, I drive past the crime scene every now and then.
Uh-huh.
Also, like I said earlier, if you're interested in the real nitty gritty regarding each piece of evidence and testimony, check out the podcast Trace Evidence. It's episode 50, Brandi Wells. It's really, really good. It's one of those ones where anytime I listen to that one, I have to make sure that I have a solid hour and a half to 2 hours available because all the episodes are long like that. But I don't like chopping them up. And because he goes over so much information that if you cut yourself off in the middle of the episode and then you try to pick it back up like a few days later or a week later, you're going to be like, fuck, I'm lost.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah.
I haven't heard of that one other than what you may have said to me a while ago.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks big time. I hate that one. It pisses me off because it's one of those ones that I think was probably very solvable at the beginning if that one trooper would have just put in just that, 1% more effort. It's like, I could look at this possibly, potential, future crime scene because there's a purse here. Somebody might break into this car to steal it.
Uh-huh.
And look and see ID, phone, and young girl and know that, holy shit. Because, I swear to God, if I came across something like that, I've got daughters. I know how I would want somebody to react. Be like, there might be something wrong here. So
yeah, act like it's your own daughter.
All right. Well, join us next time when Jason will hopefully bring us something uplifting and happier than this that will make us say, wait, what?
I most certainly will. You can't get any more depressing on that one.
Oh, I could.
Oh,
I
wow.
definitely could.
That's not a challenge.
Well, I mean, I will. I'm not gonna lie. I do have I have another one that's similar in the tank that I'm kind of working on right now. So yeah, you could about a month or so. You could expect another Debbie Downer episode from me. So get your antidepressants ready.
Ready.
All right. Well, bye everybody.
Later.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Waywut. This show's available on YouTube, Good Pods, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. We love to hear from you. Please comment on what you just listened to, pass along episode ideas, or just talk to us at Waywut Podcast in our Facebook group or on TikTok, Instagram, or X. Again, we really appreciate you joining us. Come back again to hear about some stuff that will make you say, "Wait, what?"